Okay, so we took care of a 1-point perspective. We took care of the 2-point perspective. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take care of the 3-point perspective. These lines are, you have the right perspective, the left perspective, and the perspective that's going down. All right, so there are no vertical lines, there are no horizontal lines, there are only perspective lines, and you have to choose which direction they're going in. So to start, what you do is you put a box on your paper. Okay. After you put the box on the paper, what you do is you take a point, and you move this one. This one's going to be the left point. Green's going to be left. Blue is going to be down. And red is going to be over on the right-hand side. Okay, so now that you have these 3 points made on your paper, what you're going to do is you're going to start with the perspective line going down. Okay, so that's going to be the blue line. And you make a line just like that. Okay, I'm going to extend it up just a little bit past the dots on the side. All right, so something like that. Next is I'm going to take my left perspective. That'd be green. I'm going to make a line going in this direction. Then I do the same with the right. And then what you do, and you kind of notice that this kind of looks like the 2-point perspective that we just did. But the only difference now is that you're going to be going, instead of vertical lines, you're going to now be running a perspective line. So it's going to get narrow as it gets closer to that perspective point. Okay? So it's going to look something like that. All right, you guys with me? Okay. Now the next step is we're going to make a building. It's going to be lower though. Because it's going to be a little bit lower, you're going to see the top of the building, unlike the one that went past the perspective line where we really don't see the top. So everyone's going to make a line right here, okay, and that's going to this perspective point. Then I will put in a vertical line, not a vertical line, a perspective line that's going down. Something that looks like that. Okay, so now this line is going to this point. The top of the building is going to that point, but we still are missing a line, and that line is going to be going to the left perspective point. So the beauty about a 3-point perspective is the fact that all the lines that you make will go to a perspective point. You just have to figure out which one. Okay, so now all of a sudden you can, it's almost a roof. You just made a roof on the top of this building. Okay. And then let's say you want to put in some details in the buildings themselves. What you do, and this takes a little bit of time, but it does look really good. Okay. So now what I'm doing is I'm making lines based off of the perspective point. So all these red lines are running to the right point. I'm going to try to do this as fast as I can, because I know you guys get this, you understand this. So this is when it becomes pretty fun, because you can really come up with some creative ideas and things to put on the buildings. It could be billboard signs, it could be glass, it could be a steel structure, it could be brick. But you notice how all of the lines go to that red perspective point. They do not run parallel with each other. Eventually these lines are going to converge. They are going to start becoming a little bit more exaggerated. as you get further down, and that's okay because that's actually what's happening. Okay, so it looks something like that. All right, then what you do is you take the perspective point going down and you start putting this in here. You gotta make sure this is lining up correctly here. Something that looks like that. Okay? Do you all understand this one? Okay. And honestly, that's your 3-point perspective. You could put all the details you want on these buildings. Just make sure that the lines are evenly spaced out. I would actually measure at the top and evenly space them out, and then I would draw the line going down to make sure that they're even. Or else you're going to get windows that are a little bit too narrow on one side and a little bit too large on the other. But then, yeah, you've got your roof here, and you can put anything on the roof. All right, any questions on this one? This is a short one. 3-point perspective is pretty simple. A lot of people do choose to do that. And now you're going to have an option. The option number 1 is to do a 1-point perspective. Option number 2 is a 2-point. And then option 3 is a 3-point. All right, all your targets are written on the board. Over on the right-hand side. And if there's any questions, please feel free to let me know. What we are going to do is do something like this. Okay? You will be taking this size paper. All right? This size paper, and I do have a smaller one if you guys do want to work smaller, but it's up to you what you want to do. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting, if you do a 2-point perspective, we're going to be putting these little flaps, okay, on the sides of the paper. So you can put your perspective point outside the paper, just like we did here. Okay. It's going to make it look a little bit more realistic and less exaggerated. If you do a 1-point, you're going to put your 1-point on the paper. 3-point, you're going to have a flap here, here, and then below. Not unless you choose to do more of a worm's eye view, which then you'd have the panel going up. All right? So we're going to be using tape for that, to tape the flap back, and I'll cut some paper for you. Now you don't have to use the flaps, but it does look more realistic when you do. Like I said, the idea is it's going to look more like this, and here's the example that I have for you guys. There's going to be a flap here, and a flap here. Okay, and then you're just going to put your perspective points on it like that. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so your perspective points will not be on the paper itself. They're going to be outside of that paper. It's going to make it look a little bit more realistic. Okay? Any questions? Going once, going twice. All right.